Well, hello again, man cavers. We're going to do a bit more on the Onan. I laid in bed last night and had a thought. Yeah, what are we going to do? Roll them credits. Welcome to the man cave. Let the games begin. So, here we are back again. Now then, I know we're missing a pipe going from here up to here, which is our air intake pipe. Now, I've been looking up, and small engine mechanic says these have an automatic choke. So let me just remove this, which don't take a lot of removing. That's a lift and a pull job. I think you tighten that little nut down there to clamp on. Anyhow, putty in there, right? There's our choke here. But there's some form of adjustment here. And this mechanism here seems to go into the water jacket of the cylinder head. So I'm thinking, I don't know how the automatic choke works, but I'm guessing it's on the same principles of, for the older generation that remember the old VV carbs and that they used to put on the Ford Pinto engines and the crossflows. They had the automatic choke what was on the side of the carb, and the water ran through it, and as the water got hot, the little biometric strip expander turning the choke off. I'm wondering if we've got something like that in there, because there is a screw there what looks like you undo it and slide that backwards and forwards for adjustment. I am not sure, but I can't help thinking, because that goes into the water jacket, and there's no actual choke lever on this. I mean, I'm just pulling on a little pin there. I'm wondering if there is a little biomatic spring in there, which heats up with the water, which slowly turns the choke off, like so. So what we're going to do is buzz this off, see what's behind there, and then I can perhaps get a blowtorch, or even some boiling water would probably be better. Take it in the house with some boiling water and dip it in and just see if that choke does open with heat. And if it does, that will be a touch, because I have also heard of somebody else that these are very problematic for going wrong because they burn out. So let me get a socket out, we'll whip this off and see what we got. Back in a mo. Alright, excuse that noisy aeroplane. Oh dear. Come on. I love it. Come on, say it with me. I love old engines because everything always come undone. I know. That and roll the credits has got to be Man Cave's biggest. Oh, that seems to be coming out. Oh, where's the nut gone? Here it is. I'm guessing that's the sort of system we got behind here. Ah. Spot on, look. There is a little biometric coil in there. Now, is that turning with the choke? It is, look. So that little spring, when I flick this choke here, look. That spring does coil. And that's how you adjust the tension of it, look. You just move that and that either put tension on or off that spring. Well, there we go. There is a little coil in there, so as the water heats up, turns the choke off. Right. Now is a bit of gas. I think I can, if I hold this in a vice and just wave the blowtorch at it, obviously not get it too bloody hot. I can use a heat gun, can't I? That'd be a bit less vicious. Yes. So let me get this thing set up in a vice round here in the man cave, and I'll get my heat gun and see if we can get this thing to open. And if it do, I'll know the automatic choke is working, which will be absolutely brilliant. Well, there's my gas. Where is my heat gun? Right, our heat gun is set up. Our choke is here, and that's all closed. So what I'm going to do is turn the heat gun on, and I'm going to just gently warm that spring and see if that choke opens. There's some crap in there. So let's get some heat on. I'm just going to heat this gently and we'll see if that choke opens. Let's hope it does. Oh look! Wow! It's working! That automatic choke work. Oh, that is super news. Absolutely super. Well, let me put that heat gun on cold and see if that closes again. Yep, here it comes, look. That choke is opening and closing. That is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Look at that. Right, let's put some heat on again. I'm just heating that spring at the end, gently. There you go, look at that choke. Well, that is super. That's how far I'm holding the heat gun, so I'm not blasting it. That should just simulate the temperature of, you know, the water as it warms up, and it is working, look. The choke is now fully open, of course. Well, that's not even hot to the touch, it's just getting warm. Yeah. Yeah. Let's put my heat gun on the cold setting. Come on, blow cold. That's blowing coldish. And that should close again now that cools down. There we go, look at that. There we go. So our automatic choke is working 100%, look. There you go, she's closed, look. There you go. Well, that is perfect, isn't it? That is perfect. And I've been told by quite a few people that these are so prone to going wrong. Now, I think when I put this back on, I need to put a little bit of instant gasket around there, because this has obviously got to be watertight. Unless there's a gasket on the engine. Let's just get this out of the vise. There we go. Let's go have a look, see if there is a gasket on the engine. Alright, I'm looking back here. There's no gasket. That doesn't go through to the waterway. That's solid. It just relies on heat on the engine block. So that water I was seeing there must have just been, you know, where rainwater over the years has got in the back there. I assumed the water jacket went into that, but that is solid. There's no hole in there. Well, that's no gasket required. That is a mystery, isn't it? Yeah, no gasket, so that obviously just picks up the heat off the cylinder head. So the water's not in contact with it. Well, I'm going to give that a little clean up and get that rust off there. And, you know, while we're at it, I might give the old engine a wipe down. Because there's something like when this was rebuilt years ago, there's new cork gasket sticking out round the edge. I mean, they ain't fur or nothing. That is just cork gasket there. And I'm not keen on that, so I think I'm going to clean up around these edges with a screwdriver. That looks like that's had a new fan belt on it, which is good. A B30. But yeah, was you impressed with the way this thing runs, guys? I mean, we haven't tried the generating side of it yet. I think we may have problems there because several people have pointed out that these should be 12 volt outputs here, or your DC output, and your AC should come out of that little hole in the bottom there. But we've got nothing coming out of there, so yeah, if I can't find anyone to help me sort this, there is a place in town that does rewinding motors and that, and he's a really good bloke. He's old school. He may understand this. Well, I'm sure he will. And for a price, I'm sure he could, you know, sort this out properly, because I honestly don't know what I'm doing. And when you're messing around with 240 volt, I don't want to short anything, causing permanent damage to the generator set. So, you know, I don't want anything to happen to the stator or whatever. So, yeah, I'm not going to risk shorting that out myself. Right. What are we going to do now? Clean up, get that back on. So I've cleaned up the mating surface here and just tickled over the body a little bit to get the worst off. And we're just going to rub this rust off this block. There you go, look at that. Are you surprised how that worked? Because I expected there to be a hole in there where the water sat directly on that spring, but no, it doesn't work like that. Now, which way up did that go? Ah, screw that, the adjustment was at the top, wasn't it? So that just plonks back on there. I'm really impressed with that. I mean, if that works with a heat gun, it's clearly going to work with the temperature of the engine block. So that's really good. Now, I do need to get some old-fashioned blue antifreeze, and then we can actually put some coolant in this thing and maybe run it for a little time. Get her warm. I do want to show you the coolant system on this as well, because some of you are probably thinking, because it's got a fan, that it's got a water pump. It hasn't. Now, tank cool stationary engines, 99 out of 100 times, they work on a system called Siphon. And what that means is, you have a pipe, a coolant pipe come out the bottom of the engine, which normally runs sort of relatively straight into the bottom of a tank. You have another coolant hose at the top of the engine, which normally runs up about 40 degrees, something like that, and goes into the top of the tank. And your tank's full of water. And as the engine heats up, the water in the bottom of the tank gets hot and the heat rises. And as the heat rises, it pulls the cold water from the top of the tank, it pulls it down the hose into the engine heats that water up, pushes it out the top of the engine, and the cycle continues. Well, this is much the same thing, because if you look, that fan is just connected to a hub. There is no water pump on here at all. So, same principle applies. Your cooling will come out of here, because that's obviously holds water. So as it sits now, it's sitting here with no coolant in the engine, with a stone cold engine. Everything is cold. You'll start the engine. The water in this block will start to heat up. Now the hot water rises, so the hot water will rise up here, and as it rises up here, it draws cold water from the bottom of the radiator. Do you see what I mean? I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys know how thermosiphon works, but if you don't, that's how it works. And obviously a radiator keeps the water cool, so as it puts the hot water in there and the hot water works its way down the radiator, it's cooled by the fan, so by the time it gets to the bottom of the radiator here, the water's cool again, and the engine's constantly cycling that water around. And it's hot, cool, like so. And that's how thermal siphon works. So yeah, the water's not pumped around on a water pump, it is just thermal siphon. And them sort of engines, they do tend to run a little bit warmer than engines that are pump cooled, because there's nothing forcing the water around, it's purely the heat doing it. Yeah. You know, I am itching to get some diesel on a rag and clean this thing. I had mixed opinions on what to do with this last night in the comments, whether that should be painted or left alone. Several of you said, well, a couple of you said paint it, and a couple of you said leave it alone and just clean it, because you like the way it looks now. To be honest, I like the way it looks. I think it looks lovely. And as I've said before, they're only original once. The only thing I don't like is the look of the radiator, because that's definitely, there's two different shades of green on there. So I did wonder whether to sort of tone the radiator and make that all one colour, and just clean the engine block and then weather this back. So yeah, not sure about it, not sure. But either way, we know the engine itself is mechanically sweet as a nut. That sounded so good yesterday, even though we ran it with no exhaust. I have got to sort an exhaust out, and I have found one in the shed, which came off an old, I think it was off an old wheel horse mower years ago. And I think with a little bit of fabrication, I can have that working. But we shan't do that until this is on a permanent trolley, because we're going to put this on a permanent trolley ready to rally. And I'm going to have the exhaust sticking down and a silencer sort of laying in here with that out pipe. Do you get what I'm saying? I think that'll look neat. That'll look neater than having something just sticking up, because I thought of having a pipe sticking up. But I think a silencer that sort of lays along the bottom with an outlet there, I think that'll look better. I think it'll look better, guys. It'll look a bit more original, perhaps. So I don't know what the original exhaust on these was, but I've got to bend this flange around. I think that's going to do it for this video. We have got this auto choke tested and it's working, which I'm over the moon about. I haven't got any blue antifreeze, or I'd say we'll put some blue antifreeze in here, get some coolant in here, and fire the puppy up and see if we're getting any power. But I don't want to run it for long without water in it. Let's have a look. Can't believe how heavy the cap is on this, you know. This is not a tilly-willy pressed tin cap. Look how thick a gauge that steel is just with a bloody cap. I mean, look at that. Solid brass. Well, that bit's brass, the rest of it's steel, but see, there's a little bit damp in there. That ain't sort of powdered and dry, so. But the guy did tell me the coolant system holds water. I mean, I'll be quite gutted if it don't, because that wouldn't be cheap to sort that out. Because that would mean you'd have to get that radiator rebuilt. And I don't like how that cap tightens up there. I'm sure that should tighten up so them fins line up. But I don't think that's going to matter. That ain't a pressurised cooling system like in a car, so that's not going to burp water out the top if that is a tad loose, so that'll stay like that. But yeah, I don't like that like that. Do you like that when that's done up? No, it should be like that, shouldn't it? Or like that. We need them little fins lined up. And I don't think there's any way you can adjust it to make that so. I'd say if that was 180 degrees out, you could take the two screws out, spin the brass cap round. But no, that wouldn't, because that'd either be there or there, wouldn't it? No. I think we're going to have to live with that and just have it slightly slack. There we go. Right, I'm going. Thank you very much for watching again. Do love that little oil gauge. And yeah, we'll have another video on this again very soon. Bye bye for now. Ha ha. Right, I'm just going to cut this bit into the video. I want to show inside this air filter. I've took this, because this air filter I'd taken off. I just want to take it open and see what's in there. Is it oil filled? Is it a mesh element? Is it a paper element? Being US Air Force or US military, I'm going to guess that the nut's turning all the way through. I'm going to guess that there's... Come on, I need 2 hands for this, don't I? Oh no, that's coming. There's a... Wow. Now that's what you call an air filter. Look at the quality of that. That is immense. Look how clean that air filter is. Honestly guys, I think the English and the US made the best stuff in the world. Just look at the quality of that air filter. That looks like 100% stainless steel. Not an ounce of rust, nor dirt come to that matter. That is outstanding. The quality of that is outstanding. And what's this caper for? There's even a little gauze over there. And this thing hooks on. Ah, I see. There's a little hole in the side. And that hooks in there. Try to do this one-handed, guys. There we go. See, that goes through there. And the top of this filter comes around here, the filter housing. So I think this draws in. Because this end of this tube goes into where that oil level dipstick is. I'm wondering if this is to burn up crankcase fuel, like an early system for emission controls or something, where it's burning up the crankcase vapours. It's drawing them in, up through here, and burning them back up in the engine. Maybe to cut back on fumes, whatever. I really don't know, but isn't that a good idea? So there is our air filter. Look how, I can't believe how clean. And the damn quality of that. That's such a good quality air filter, it's unbelievable. Heavy as well. Right, that's definitely going to be it now. I've just cut this bit in the video. And yeah, let's get back to it.